With The Last of Us Part 1 remake quickly approaching around the corner, September 2nd, I believe, I had to make this video. Last of Us, one of my favorite franchises. Uh, Uncharted, you know, God of War. These games are just in my top tier favorite games of all time. And I'm excited about replaying it because I seen the trailer and it looked like there was some new aspects I didn't see in the first game. Maybe that's just uh, the DLC or from Left Behind. I'm not too sure, but it didn't look like she was fighting zombies. It looks like she was fighting human beings. So I'm talking about I'll leave the link of the trailer in the description so you guys can see it for yourselves and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not there. When Ellie was stabbing the guy, it looks like it was in a different place, and she had the outfit on probably from Left Behind. I think I have to watch the trailer again just to verify. But part two, to me, is the superior game in every single facet. Yes, I said in every single facet. That's including the story mode. I I, I have to play part one, the remake again, and part two. So when I do this in-depth breakdown of the story and how people, I'm going to show you when I do this video how people who claim to, I'm gonna say claim and use this word very specifically, who have this hate and this claim against the first game, are just part of the bandwagon on hating on, not the first game, I mean the second game, hating on the part two, the second game. They're just going off of the trending thing to do at that point in time when the game came out. And they really have no idea about how the first game really played out. Because if you really played the first game and the second game, Joel has more of a character development and even has more of an impact on Ellie in part two than he ever did in part one. And that's going as far as his character development in part one. If you really paid attention in part one, his character development really didn't come into play until they had that situation at when Ellie ran off and she was in that house and she was telling Joel how scared she was if Joel was to dump her off, because everybody thought this bond was throughout the game, or it had a certain point in the game when they, before they even got to that, and the situation with the kid Sam, when his brother shot, he had to shoot his brother because he was infected, and that whole situation. Everybody thought that bond was throughout that whole journey. No, it actually started after Joel had time to think about, when they had that little discussion in that room when she ran off. That's when he started to have more of a character development. But if you really paid attention, part two, he really had a huge impact on Ellie in the character development in the game, more so than part one. And nobody ever says anything about that because they're just caught up in the frenzy of, we want it to be like this because part one was so endearing to us. This isn't fair. It's like that Walking Dead effect when the favorite character gets killed. Everybody loses their shit. But do they have the context of why it happened? Maybe you don't like how Joel died and the way it was portrayed. We can put that up for discussion for a while. Like that I can see your viewpoint on that. But as far as when people say, "Oh, that literally turns me off from the game," like if that turns you off, then you're completely missing a whole lot of great sections of the game with Abby. And I will say this right now: Abby is the best character in part two by far. Her missions are better than Ellie's, and I'll debate anybody on that. I will, because that's how good that character was in that game. So I can't wait to play the remake and go through it again and collect the footage so I can break down in depth, like I said earlier, about why part two is better in every single aspect. And I love part one, but part two is just a better game. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, if you agree or if you disagree with what my points are.